Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. In today's video we're going to be going over the top 5 orgs in Smash Ultimate. This is a video that we've done a couple times, but as new orgs enter and leave the scene, we do want to keep updating it. And the only rules for this video is that the org has to have at least 3 players on it that are active in Ultimate right now, because if they don't, you just have one top 10 player on an org, then that org is automatically the best. Like when Leo was on T1, they're the best because they have the best player in the world. Their average is number 1, so that is the only rule, and let's get right into it. At number 5, you have the massive roster of AITX with Mystery, American Leon, Jackal, Jen, Dark Wizzy, and Quandale Dinglingleton. Oh my lord, this team has so many cracked players. You have 5 players that are roughly top 50 range and 1 player in that top 30 range being Jackal. Jackal is probably their best player right now. He has been simply incredible. Had a lot of very good runs, a couple top 8s along the way, and just has some of the best wins on the team. But another player on there that I don't think gets talked about enough is going to be Dark Wizzy. Dark Wizzy is such a serious threat in Smash right now. He really is a dark horse, and he has a lot of good runs, and is definitely a top 30 caliber player. He's a top 10 caliber player when he's playing really well, though the results haven't been quite as good recently. We've seen some really promising runs from Big House, specifically was incredible. Dark Wizzy is a massive threat that's very, very good. You also have Apex being this team's just best tournament. You had Leon, Quandale, and Jackal getting top 8. Jackal getting up to 2nd place with his amazing losers run. Like, this team is incredible. Mr. E as well, just getting his run at Level Up Expo into the top 8. All these guys are extremely talented, and I think they could all improve a lot. Like, they have such a high ceiling, but one of my favorite players that's on this team being Jen. Jen has so much potential. We saw him get 9th place at Let's Make Big Moves after a huge hiatus. He is such an amazing player. I'm really excited to see the damage he can do. I believe most of these players are at Collision, so we could see some insane runs out of them. They're a team that you have to look out for, and with the amount of talented players on their roster, they're only going to go up. At number 4, we have 2-6R with Zenodo, Mudace, Onin, and Cosmos. They have 1 top 50 caliber player and 3 top 15 caliber players. Starting off with Zenodo, who is severely underrated because even though he doesn't go to a ton of stuff, his results are extremely consistent. He's a 13th at Big House, 25th at Main Stage, 33rd at Genesis, getting wins on Teaser, Major, Quinn, Mind, MFA, Base Mage, Small Lift, Ice Knight. Those are just to name a few over his tournament runs. Zenodo is absolutely unreal, one of the best Diddy Kong players in the world. We just don't really get to see a ton of him, but now that he has this big sponsor, hopefully we can see him travel more because he is extremely talented. You also have Onin. Now, Onin's in a bit of a weird spot right now because we haven't seen him in a little bit. His last tournament was Let's Make Big Moves, where he didn't do amazing, got 25th place there, losing to Shattuck and Enhanced PV, which are 2 pretty rough matchups for Steve, at least Cloud definitely is, but before that, he's a 7th at Scuffed, 5th at LSI, 9th at Main Stage, 2nd at Let's Make Moves Miami. Onin is unreal. Now, if Steve does get banned, it's going to hinder his performance massively, though I do think that Onin, out of all the Steve players, he's like probably in like top 3 Steve players that will probably be able to bounce back at least decently because he is extremely talented. We've seen his character pool a little bit in bracket, and it looks very good. He was a notable player even before Steve came out. I have a lot of faith in Onin. I think he's really, really good. Then after that, you have Cosmos. Now, Cosmos was kind of known for like, yeah, he has really high peaks, but he isn't always getting them because he's extremely inconsistent. But then, unfortunate for the Cosmos haters, he forgot that he was inconsistent because he has a 4th at Level Up Expo and a 9th place at both Genesis and Let's Make Big Moves. Cosmos has stepped up recently. He has been looking incredibly clean. Even before that, it was like 17th at Main Stage, 17th at Let's Make Moves Miami, 21st at LSI, 2nd at Leota C. His results were a little bit fluctuating, but it wasn't any lower than like a 33rd at worst. Cosmos is incredible, and it's looking like it's going to be sticking with the Aegis because he was trying with the Corn a little bit. I doubt we'll ever see the Inkling come back, but maybe for a counter pick. He was trying Corn at Let's Make Big Moves. It didn't work, but now it's back to the Aegis, and he is in serious contention for that best Aegis in the world because he's been doing incredibly well, and Shutone hasn't been doing as good. Cosmos is like a major threat that you need to look out for, but probably the strongest player on their team as of right now is going to be Mudace, and he only has 1 tournament recently being Genesis, but like, if you watch Genesis, you will know, okay, this guy is a serious threat. That run was incredible. 2nd place there, getting wins on Leo, Light, Aquila. Like, he played out of his mind. That's just to name a few players. He also was before that 3rd at Let's Make Moves Miami, 5th at Big House. He did have a rough LSI, but still, Mudace is simply amazing, though sometimes he can be a little inconsistent because 1, like, medical issues can affect him in bracket, which really, really sucks, but 2, Peach is just a really, really hard character to play consistently. Like, the amount of inputs that you need to be doing all the time, my lord, it is difficult, but Mudace, he manages to do it. He is incredible. Like, a top 5 caliber player when he's playing at his best. 2-6R's roster is, like, incredibly strong, and I think a lot of their players could improve a ton, which is really scary for everyone else. At number 3, you have Liquid with Hungrybox, Otorie, Riddles, and Dabuz. You have one top 30 caliber player, two top 15 caliber players, and Hungrybox, who I don't really know how to rank because he's just such an X factor, but just know Hungrybox is amazing and it's just very underrated because lol content. Starting off with Otorie though, he's a little bit inconsistent. Like, he has a rough Japan 24 where he gets 21st there. He's a kind of rough Meisuma top 11 where he gets 25th, but some players are not going to get the best results at these super majors. But then he has a 13th at Kagure B9, a 7th place at Umabora SP9. This run is incredible. He gets wins on Ken, Zachary, Abadongo, and Mia, who just won a super major. Torie is amazing, and he's one of those players that I really thought he was going to bring the PT back, but it looks like PT is going to be gone, which hurts my heart. But then, of course, he brings back the Wolf, and hey, if we're going to switch out for PT for Wolf, I guess that's one of the characters that I would be okay with, because Otorie, when he is playing hot, it is so scary. Wolf is one of those characters that I feel like with momentum, you can just steamroll people, and he does this constantly in bracket. When he builds a momentum, he's one of the scariest players in the world. Speaking of momentum, next up is Riddles, who sometimes just hits you and kills you, and then he does it 3 times in one game. Riddles has some of the fastest games in Smash also. It's like Riddles and Sonic. Sometimes they just decide, okay, this is the game I want, go next. And Riddles, though he does have a rough Genesis, the results before that are perfectly fine. I feel like his kind of drop-off has been greatly exaggerated, but that's just kind of how things happen in Smash. The Genesis was rough, but then he has a 7th at Let's Make Big Moves. He won Frosty Fausting, 9th at Scuffed. His results have been pretty good, as well as the Terry coming back. I'm very happy for the Terry coming back, because even though Kazuya is a stupid, broken, I hate this character, good character, he does need a secondary. That is because there are certain matches where Kazuya just gets wrecked. Just literally not winnable. I think Sonic, for example, is perfect for this. No, Terry isn't the perfect counter to Sonic. I think having a secondary just makes your options so much better. We saw it at Frosty Fausting. It looked very clean. I'm super excited for Riddle's collision run because I don't know how he's going to do, but I think the Terry could be a big help, as well as his Kazuya still just being absolutely ridiculous. And our final player for Liquid is going to be Dabuz. Dabuz is incredibly consistent, as well as him having a Triman, which I really do appreciate. Again, the more characters, the merrier, I think, in Ultimate right now. And his characters that he's playing is Min Min, Olimar, and Rosalina, and he's doing most of his runs with Rosalina, which is just crazy to me that he's this consistent with, again, Rosa. Rosa is by no means a bad character. It's not a 13th at Genesis and a 9th at Let's Make Big Moves good character, though. Dabuz is unreal, and he has some very good matchups in the top 15-10 range as well, because Dabuz, the whole thing about him is like, oh, he's very, very good, but he gets brick walled super hard. But now you look at him against Sonic, it's like, okay, that's a decent matchup for him. Then you look at him versus Cosmos. That's one that he finally figured out. Dabuz is slowly starting to figure out these bad matches for him, and he has been looking incredibly promising. I'm very excited, again, to see his run at Collision, because we haven't seen him at Genesis, and we haven't seen most players at Genesis, so this is tournament at Collision is going to be a banger. But Dabuz is someone that you have to be ready for in bracket, and if you're not, he will simply destroy you. And I also want to talk about the difference between Liquid and 26R, because I was very close to putting 26R just above Liquid, but I did put Liquid above just because Dabuz and Riddles have been so consistent before this, and Mudace and Cosmos are a little bit more inconsistent. Same thing with Onin as well with his recent performance, so I'm not really sure if you want to put 26R over Liquid. I could 100% see that, because I think they are incredibly close, by far the closest 2 teams on the list, so that is just something that I thought I'd throw in there. At number 2, we're going to have Moist Esports with Light, Goblin, Aaron, and Salt1. You have 2 top 30 caliber players, 1 top 15 caliber player, and 1 top 5 caliber player. Starting off with Goblin, they don't get talked about nearly enough, because sometimes, and you'll have to excuse my phrasing here, they just simply go Goblin mode in bracket and just rock a top 5 player. It's actually unreal, as well as them being incredibly consistent. They got a 13th at Level Up Expo, 33rd at Genesis, 17th at Let's Make Big Moves. Goblin is someone that you can literally never count out of a bracket, which makes them so scary. One of the best Roys in the world to do it right now. And another player that Moist has that's a little bit underrated is going to be Aaron, because his consistency is also on another level. 25th at Umabora, 17th at Let's Make Big Moves, 17th at the Big House, 13th at SmashCon. He won PAX West over 2 of his Moist boys in Salt1 and Light. Aaron, again, one of the best Diddies in the world right now, and that's an impressive title, because there's a lot of good Diddy players. You have 30 good Tiddies in Japan, you have a couple good ones in NA, most notably, you have Tweak. Zenodo was already on this list. Aaron in contention, in my mind, probably the second best Diddy right now. He is incredibly impressive, and again, his consistency, it cannot be understated. At 15th place, you have Salt1, who did have a little bit of a rough pass as of late, but he seems to have brought it back with this 13th at Genesis, 3rd place at Frosty Fausting, and a 5th place at Level Up Expo. Salt1 is so explosive. He's so scary to play against a bracket at all times. And again, we did mention that little bit of a rough patch earlier, but it wasn't too bad. It's 33rd at Let's Make Big Moves, and again, it's Let's Make Big Moves. Some players are going to underperform, but even before that, he got a 13th at main stage. Like, it's not the end of the world. Salt 1 is an insanely good player. Again, Collision is going to be proving a lot of things. Collision is going to be making up for a lot of storylines for these players, and I think Salt 1 could absolutely pop off there. And our final player, of course, which Collision probably matters the most for, is going to be Light. Excluding the summit spot, of course, in tier terms of a ranking, this tournament, for Light and Tweak, whoever wins this one, or whoever places higher between Light and Tweak, I think is the best player in America, at least, because it has been very close between them, and Light is showing a strong candidate for it. He's a 4th at Main Stage, 5th at Scuff World Tour, 5th at Let's Make Big Moves, 3rd at Genesis, and a 1st place at Level of Exo, which he was able to take over Tweak. Light is obviously incredible. He was the best player in America for all of 2022. He's looking to be it again for 2023 because he had like 2 rough tournaments there where he got like a rough LSI, and that was literally it. I guess people also regarded his Scuff was bad, but it was pretty much just LSI was bad, and it was like, oh, people fell off, Light's bad. No, it was just Tweak was doing very, very well. Light has still been doing incredible, and he looks like he's going to be taking that #1 spot in NA pretty shortly because, my lord, he is unreal. Really quickly though, before we do move on to the best team, I want to give a shout out to a couple unsponsored players right here. And this is only players from NA, and I got this list in like 5 seconds just to name a few. You have Leo unsponsored, Tweak unsponsored, Ouch unsponsored, Big D unsponsored, Sonic's unsponsored. Those are like 2 top 30 players, and the rest of them are top 5 caliber players. This is an insane unsponsored list. All these guys would be amazing pickups, and they're probably going to be picked up pretty shortly because, again, they're unreal, and that's only from NA. I'm pretty sure Lugi is unsponsored from EU. From Japan, I'm not familiar. I'm pretty sure Tora is still unsponsored. There's so many players right now that could use some amazing teams. These are definitely some guys to pick up. Thought I'd give them a shout out, but now on to #1. And our final team, and in my opinion, the best team in Smash Ultimate right now, is going to be, of course, Zeta Division. The last time we did this video, it was Zeta. This time we did this video with Zeta. The next time we do this video, it'll probably be Zeta because their trio is just so strong. You have 1 top 30 player in Gak, then you have 2 top 5 players in Akala and T. Of course, top 5 caliber. I don't think T is quite top 5 right now, so I think he can 100% reach that because he's unreal. Gak can definitely go higher as well because, again, Gak is insane. He's got a 17th at Meisuma top 11, 9th place at Kagaribi 9, 33rd at Genesis. He does have a rough Umabura with his 65th there, but Gax is just a player that you have to look out for. His Kagaribi run specifically, he just made an absolutely unreal losers run. He lost very early on and just crushed people, I believe, winning 7 or 8 sets in a row, which is just simply ridiculous. Gax is unreal, one of the best Nesses in the world. I would probably say the best Ness in the world right now, though it is close between him, Sen, Syrup, PK Chris. Honestly, PK Chris is kind of crazy. Don't sleep on him. But Gak is obviously amazing. Then you have T, of course, and even though T does have a bit of a rough Meisumo where he gets 17th place there, that is his only really rough performance in a long time. He does have a 9th place at Genesis, which is pretty good, only losing to Leo and Akala. Then he has a 2nd place at Umabora, only losing to Akala. 13th place at Main Stage. He has a 1st place at UFA. Whenever T goes to Europe, he just wins. Just keep that in mind. If T is in Europe, he is going to win. He also won winner over Shootone. T is just an incredible player, as well as having a very strong secondary. Kazuya, obviously, the Pac-Man is going to be the mainstay, but I already talked about this with Riddles. I love when people have a Kazuya and they have another character to complement it, because there's some matches with Kazuya that are really tough, but then the rest of the time, it is just, I'm going to electric you over and over, and T has finally figured that out, or not finally, he kind of pioneered just doing electric over and over, because my lord, that man loves that button, and it seems to work out for him, because his neutral is just insane. And then, of course, we have Akal, who has, like, his first ever quote-unquote, and big quotation marks here, like, comically sized, bad tournament string with a 7th place at Genesis. Then he wins Kagaribi between that, and a 3rd place at Meisumo, one of his worst performances in Japan, at least as of late, because before this, he was dominating in Japan, and even still, a 3rd place at a Super Major is very good, only losing to Ken and Mia, but at Kagaribi, he lost to Osimo, which is crazy that I'm even pointing out. That's how good he is, that you have to point out when he loses a tournament, or when he loses a set. When he still wins the tournament, he loses a set, it is a bad tournament for him. That is how good Akala is. Even before Genesis, he won Umabora, he won Japan 24, 4th at Scuff. Akala is simply unreal. He also does have a 9th place at Subageki, which I guess would be considered one of his bad ones. One of his, I think that's his worst ever placement, by the way, is 9th. Now, he does play Steve, of course, everybody knows this, so we're going to have to see if these Steve bans, if they ever do come in, which it's looking like right now, I don't know if they ever will at a major scale. I think the tech might be banned, which I do think is a good thing, but I don't know if Steve will ever be banned, which I think is fine, again, at the major level. But he has some very good secondaries. His Mithra is very, very good, or rather, his Aegis is very good. His Kazuya is extremely prevalent. His Donkey Kong is like, well, Donkey Kong, but it's, you know, it's crazy. So Akala has a lot of options. He is extremely talented, and with Steve, obviously, he's like a top 3 candidate in the world. Akala is simply ridiculous. Sorry the mic cut out right before we did the intro, but thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I'm curious what you guys have for your list. If there's any obvious teams that I left out, please let me know down below. I think this is the top 5, but I, again, could have missed one from like Japan, EU, or maybe even one in NA that I was just hard sleeping on. Sports been absolutely unreal lately. Thank you guys for everything, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.